sit down, make yourself comfortable. This is just the SGT. So a lot of times that when we start off the SGT tournaments, especially when we first started, the rule set's quite unique and quite different. And a lot of people had a trouble adjusting from the very start about how the concept is different to the points tournaments and other points tournaments, especially when we go through penalties or advantages. So we started off doing, first of all, like if the fight was a draw, we did 1 minute sudden death, and kind of went through a couple of stages that it got too messy. So we cleaned the system up, made it round robin, submission only. If there's no submission, it's a draw at both ends of race. So let's get started at the very beginning. Okay, so the referees, the clothing of the referee is everything's going to be black. So black socks, black slacks, and SGT t-shirt, referee t-shirt. You can have the long sleeve underneath it if you want to. The socks are supposed to be unbranded. So the socks, when you wear the black socks, you can't have the white inlay or any labels on it. They're just straight black socks, and they've got to be more than the ankle socks. They've got to come up a little bit. That way there's no exposed ankle or things like that. So this looks really professional. So we're trying to make sure that all the referees wear the same thing. So black socks, black slacks, SGT t-shirt, you can wear a long one underneath it, but no jumpers over the top, nothing like that. We don't wear the wristbands, we don't need to, because it's just basically two guys come up front. When the referees start to call the opponents in, this is really important for the coaches to educate the students on how it works. As the students come up to the edge of the mat, the referee's going to tell them to stop. So this is the edge of the mat. The competitors will come up to the edge of the mat and they'll wait. The referee will bow and then call the competitors on. Once the referee's called you on, you're allowed to step on that. You can bow, do whatever you want to do. As a referee, I always shake the person to the right hand side first. So if the two competitors come up, I always shake the right hand, then I shake the left hand. The exception is if the person on my left hand side runs up to me first, and I'll shake your hand. Like some guys are like, let's go, you know what I mean? So no one run up. So it's really important that we make sure we follow the etiquette of how it works. So at the edge of the mat, pull them to the edge of the mat. Okay, bow, pull them on, shake the hand. With the kids, the way I like doing it is I like to drop to my knees and shake the hands on the kids. That way it's not this big giant trying to shake your hands. It's quite intimidating for a little kid sitting like, you imagine like a little 6-year-old, you've got this Ian, you know, this big tall Ian, it's like a skyscraper, shake hands. So we try and bring it down to their level. Shake the hands, we separate them, make sure they have to step back 3 steps, kids and adults, and we can say start or come back, it doesn't matter. Most of the kids I've said come back, so they look at me like, what's going on, they don't understand. So we say kind of fight or go. My preference is to say go, not fight. We don't want to kind of be that fluent, so you know, so go. Once they come to the adults and teams division, it's come back. Okay, we don't say go, just go from there. Or the kids. Okay. The job of the referee is to make sure that the safety of the competitors is in your hands. And this comes in multiple ways. Number one is if you feel a kid is in danger, i.e. if they're crying, and the arm's almost about to be extended, or the choke's on and you feel their face is red, or they're you know, that really big, your job is to stop the fight. But whether they're hyper flexible, whether they can breathe their bottom or whether like that, it makes no difference, right? And it's one rule for everyone. And this is the rules that I need the referees to follow, is that if we're stopping the arm at 95 degrees for one kid and stop at 95 degrees for every single kid, regardless. Like, there's no favoritisms, nothing like that. If I know the kid's hyper flexible, I'm not making an exception. Right? It's the referee's job to make sure they have a good experience and that they can come back and fight the next fight and the next fight. As it's round robin, but we don't want that one fight, oh my arm's sore, I'm out. Do you know what I mean? We want them to get as much exposure as they can. We also want them to be able to come back and fight as many times as they can, or compete as many times as they can. So the rule number one is that, like, you know, my job is once the arm goes past that point to here, I'll stop the fight. On the chokes, once the choke's sunk in, right, I give them 2 seconds or 3 seconds to see if they're going to defend it. If they start defending it correctly, I'll give them the opportunity to try and break the grip and get out. If they don't, I'll stop the fight. With the kids, mouth guards are compulsory. It's not negotiable, it's part of the combat commission. You need to wear a mouth guard if the kids are competing. And that's all tournaments across WA, but all tournaments they must wear a mouth guard. Second part, once it comes to the 10 for the adults, they are old enough to make their own decisions. If they want to wait till the arm breaks, that's their call. We don't have the right to step in to stop them. The exceptions on that are number one is on a choke. I'll tell you how to work the choke. And once you realise that there's damage done, and you see the arm, they'll stop the fight. Right? So a lot of the time that the adults, they're going to fight, they're going to fight, they're going to fight. Make sure you're there to stop them. So with the arm, you know that they're like, no, and the hair also like pop. You've got to make sure you're ready to stop the fight. Okay? As soon as they say tap, the verbal, you stop the fight. Okay? If they let the arm go, you can't stop it until they've made something or you see if that damage is done. Okay? Hard and fast, but they're adults until. Okay? This is one of the rules that comes up, and this is a really hard rule to implement, but an adult going unconscious. It looks bad. It is bad. They're the master of their own destiny. They want to go unconscious. Hey, look, I have no dramas about that. But how do you tell if someone's unconscious? How do you tell that they're caught out? Maybe. I see guys go to sleep that are looking at me, refereeing, and I'm like. So what happens is, if you're getting choked, it's very hard to give a verbal because you're getting choked. You can't. They can't give the verbal. So what we do instead, time, come in, play dead, on your back, play dead. Okay. And I believe this should be for all the MMA as well, because I've seen a lot of referees mess this up. Is this? Give me a sign, give me a thumb or something like that. If they can give me something physical, they're right. If I go give me a sign and the hand goes floppy or they don't react to it, I'll call the fight. That way, if they come in, I wasn't asleep, I'm going, I gave you an opportunity to react and answer, you didn't, that's your fault. So like, can you put him in your head up, choke for me? Look at this. Straight on to it, yeah. So don't actually do it. So if we're here and like I'm looking and his eyes are down but this arm goes floppy, I'm gonna go, give me a sign. If he gives me a reaction like he comes, whatever like that, keep fighting. If I say, give me a sign and he doesn't, I'll call the fight. 100%, and that's it. I've given him the opportunity to defend himself, to show that he's still awake. If he does give that opportunity, I'll call the fight. So the referees have to be on their game and they have to be down there. The referees that stand back and watching this choke, you've got to be in the game. You've got to actually be there close. I don't want anyone going to sleep on my mat. You know what I mean? Like I don't want anyone going to sleep. But out of all the referees I've seen, both I've been lucky, I've done the UFC, I've done all that. But the guys that are in there make sure that the competitors are safe. They're the best referees. Secondly is, on the elevation, you are allowed to elevate your partner, you're not allowed to slam. Does everyone understand the difference? So, on a double leg takedown, if I'm doing a takedown, I pick my partner up and I put them onto their back. That's a takedown. If I happen to knock my partner out on a takedown, that's still a takedown. That's still a throw. Like, you know, you can't say guy a good hip toss and then throw him on the ground. That's not a slam, that's a throw. A double leg's the same. Anytime that we have a grounded opponent, we lift the grounded opponent up with the intention to put them down with force, that's a slam. That's okay, because you see the guys do the double leg, it's a takedown. They turn him. I cannot spike my partner. At no stage will tolerate anyone purposely turning their partner to try and spike them. Right, no shoulders, no head. Backs on the ground, always. Anytime that you see that, you've got to warn them. But it's actually illegal to spike and illegal to put them onto the back of their head on the takedown. Which is why a lot of times the final carry is deemed to be quite dangerous because the way you turn them, a lot of guys that don't know how to put them onto their heads and things like that as well. So we try not to tolerate that. If the partner is elevating, so in the guard, the guy gets grips, he stands up and tries to shake the guy off the guard. If he lets go of his legs and he falls, that's that person's fault. I haven't thrown him. If you undo your legs from that position and you fall, that's gravity. I haven't forcefully stabbed you. If I get you and I pick you up, that's now a slam. So the referee's job is anytime you see someone elevate the partner, you should be walking in and be there. If they fall, you should be able to stop them or catch them. Not interfering with the fight. You're not grabbing them, you're not holding them, but you're there. So can I grab you and you together, please? And just jump guard. One of you guys jump guard. Not both. One. Good. Go. So we're here. The referee's going to be in this position. But I'm not here. That's an unfair advantage over here. If I see try and start to slip, I'm cupping the head. I'm not cupping the body, I'm cupping the head. Why? 100%. If his bum hits the ground, he's not going to get brain damage. Right, he might get a sore bum. That's okay. If his head hits, so I've seen some of the guys, they come in here and their head falls back because the referee's kind of caught off position as well. So I'm here. So he lets go of his legs, falls, bump. Keep fighting, we're safe. So for me, it's really important that we make sure that the head is controlled on a race partner. Okay. Is everyone okay so far? Yes, sir.
So if you're saying
Yep.
pull the legs up and you go through,
Yep. That's still a takedown.
yeah, they'll hurt like go letting go of your shoulder height
Depending on what
because
yeah, we allow that, but I won't tolerate it. Yeah, you know, like I won't tolerate like that's gone. There's no need from here. There's no need to elevate someone that kind of take that. The only things I've seen is the guys doing hip toss and the guy's legs are 8 foot in the air, but you know that's control. At the end of the day, like we're here to compete against each other and to have fun. And if you don't have an opponent, you don't have a competitor, and we don't fight. The second is I've had, unfortunately, I've had the stage where I've had like my boy or girl won't fight against that boy or girl because they've been injured. Like they fought 3 or 4 times, they always get injured. So it gets to the stage where on the draw of 6 people, these 2 guys get a fight. So they miss out on one fight. If that's what people want to do, I'll skip the fight. But at some stage, like you've got to kind of step up and man up and kind of, this is part of fighting and this is part of competing and that's what it is. And it's their interpretation versus slam versus a takedown versus their interpretation, which is why I'm going to video all this stuff so that this is the rules and this is what they are. So that there's no grey area about what a takedown versus a slam is. Everyone okay with that so far? Okay. So we're now going to get into the nitty gritty, and this is the part, there's a couple of things that come into play now that are unique to our system, are unique to our rule set. And a lot of the coaches come to question me about it, and it's pretty clear. But once I explain to them how it works, it's easy. Number one, let's just say that we have a bout of 3 people, 1, 2, and 3. If Tyron gets submitted by George, but then Tyron comes back and submits Brandon, and no one else gets submission, right? And Tyron gets a fast submission. He's still going to get the gold medal because it's not who submits who, it's the most amount of submissions in the shortest time. So, you know, you can lose your first bout via submission and come back and win the whole division. And, you know, that coach, oh, but my boy submitted him. Yeah, he did once, and he submitted him once, and he did it in 10 seconds, and he did it in 20 seconds, so he gets a gold medal because it was the same amount of submissions, but in the faster time. So I've got to understand that it's not, everyone's confused about this elimination. I beat him, so I get the gold medal. This is round robin. This is the most amount of fights, the most amount of submissions done in the fastest time will get the gold medal. If there's no submissions, there's no medals. It's a submission only tournament. And I've had guys come up to me like, you know, these poor guys have been in a division of like 10 people. You know, they've had like 12 fights and there's no submissions. And I'm like, oh, and these poor guys have fought so hard and there's no medals. I'm like, man, but that's what it is. You know, I'm not changing rules, that's just what it is. It's tough, but for me, it's one of the best ways. I mean, like your reward is that you get more opportunities to compete than any other tournament in WA at the moment. You know what I mean? So it's a really good, not like your experience should be your reward and gold medal or whatever. It's just a thing to throw in the shop and collect dust. But for me, it's the experience. Okay. So we don't do penalties. We don't do advantages. At any time that opponent does I want to call a minor illegal move. Okay. So they grip the body hip while in the no-gi, the referee don't do that. No, like stop. If they persist to do it 3 times or 4 times, I'm going to say I would DQ you if you do that again. Like, you know, like at some stage, I've got to kind of say, you're taking the piss now, so I will disqualify you. So the minor things like grabbing inside the gi pants, you can't do that, you can't do that. Reaping, if there's a reaping, so the guys now, they're coming into this position, and the white guy says to them, come over, stop! Put your foot back here, continue. Right, so anytime that you see the reap, stop. And it's stop. Put your foot back.
Blue belt with slots of black belt.
Yeah, I don't want to DQ anyone, right? It's not what we're here for. Our tournament's not that kind of tournament. Like, so I want to think, but if I go here, stop, put it back. Here, stop it, third time, I'm like, I will disqualify you if you do that again. Okay. The exception to the rule is this, and this happens like this, we go, stop, and they go like this. I'm like, I have to reset me now, guys, standing, because you've now lost their position. So this is the difference between stop and stand up. So if you guys, and I want to be very clear, is that if I go reap and I'm a blue belt and say stop, and I move it here, we'll continue from this position. If I go stop and he goes stop that, like, okay, I will now stand you guys up because you've now lost the position. Does everyone understand that? Because that's fair. I'm not going to try and shuffle back and they get that extra grip or whatever like that. So stop, reset, continue, and explain why. The next one is if I catch Brandon in a submission and he rolls out of mat doing the correct escape. Okay. It's just a stand up. Restart. If it's on mount, we start off on mount. If we're on back control, we start off on back control. If we're on knee ride, we continue on knee ride. Side control, side control. If it's deemed to be a transition position, I'll start them standing. Does everyone understand that? So like if I'm, can I put you onto your back again? So like if I'm on mount and I'm kind of doing a collar chuck in his proper and he bridge and rolls like that and we come off the mat. Stop! Okay, go back to the center. Okay, restart, go. But not with it, we start from the guard position. Okay. And everyone's kind of questioning about like, but I had the submission on and he was in the triangle and I had the Kimura and going so like, the combat area is the combat area. Once you leave the combat area, you're not competing anymore. So if you cannot finish your partner, opponent in the combat area, it doesn't count. It's not like, but I was that far. It's, once I go off the grey area, once I go off the white area onto the grey, stop the fight.
So they go back to the position that they were when they were inbound?
Yeah, but if it's back control, hooks in, seatbelt grip.
Yeah, so if they're in transition, you stand them up.
Yeah, 100%. So it's no controlled position. So like I've got like a Kimura and they're rolling out the Kimura, start them standing. So if you don't finish your opponent in the combat area, it's a restart. If it's a controlled position, we restart in the controlled position. If it's not a controlled position, you stand up. So that's the disqualifications and that's the rules. If they purposely roll out of the combat area while they're in a submission, I'll award the victory to the other person. But if you're avoiding the fights, I will award the victory. If you're on a back choke and you look at Matt, you shuffle over the mat like I'm out of it, tough man. That's I will award the victory to the other person and it will go down as a submission as well because we either have submissions or draws. That's all we have in our things, hot and bias. The next thing is from standing, the white belt still can't jump close guards. We can't get that through the combat commission. Okay. So the reason being is too many guys are jumping and blowing their knees out and things like that and people falling over. So the combat commission will not tolerate that. You are allowed to do flying triangles, you are allowed to do flying arm bars, but you can't jump guard. So just...
Definitely hold the arms.
Well, yeah, so in the SGT tournaments, we don't need to make contact. So like in all the other tournaments, like when we start standing, we have to make contact and I have to hold to sit down. SGT, I can just kind of go like this and start fighting. We don't need to make contact with it. So that's one of the things. It's easy. The guys that don't want to do takedowns, just sit down, easy, nice and crazy. Disputes. Wow. Hey, disputes. My opinion, and I've had a few people yell at me when I've been refereeing. It's been quite interesting. I used to always kind of go back to them like, and it's an ego thing, a huge ego thing, was like, you know, they'd argue with me and what I'd do my choice, walk up to them on the corner, I'd go, oh, how long have you been refereeing? And normally, well, I don't. He said, good, let's leave it that way. Anyway, but I tap that up. But it was more like, you know, if you're not willing to step on the mat and do this job, keep it quiet. I'm doing the best I possibly can. You know what I mean? And I know people make mistakes. Everyone makes mistakes. So my job is just make sure the referees are doing as good a job as they possibly can. If there's ever a dispute, like if you get to the stage where, you know, like there's a bout and you're kind of like, oh, I'm not too sure. Okay. Make the decision that's best for you right then. And if you need to, come and see me and explain. But I would always want to see a video, not an explanation, because what you explain and what they explain are often two different stories. So I'd like to see a video. If it's not clear in the video, I'll leave it exactly what the referee called it. But their job is to make sure it goes through. So any disputes, if anyone is rude to my referees or my corner people, they'll be politely asked to leave. If they're a competitor, I will withdraw them from the division as well. I will not tolerate bad manners or swearing or anything at the people that run my tournaments. I have zero tolerance for that at all. It's just, you know, that they're not out there to ruin your day. They're trying to do their job and to make our events run smoothly. So I won't tolerate that at all. If there's an injury on the mat, pending on the injury, and this is up to your discretion, I would always like to move the person off the mat if we possibly can, as long as it's not a knee or a neck or something like those ones, man. Just wait for the paramedics or wait for first aid to come in. I'm not risking someone's knee or neck, especially if the knees come out. I don't want any of us to put them in. Like we'll get a professional paddy will come on and tell those first aid guys, what are you doing? Get out here, and he'll do it. Even if you have first aid qualifications, we pay for a first aid team to be there at the event. That's what there's always a ambulance there and always a backup ambulance on the way. So we'll always make sure that we've got all of our guys covered from that as well. I don't want that risk of a referee or someone accidentally putting in and it goes wrong and then come back on someone. It's just, it's not worth it, guys. It's really not when we've got a team there ready to do it. Breaks, so the referees, the biggest thing for referees is you're sitting there all day. It's a long day, and you know, it's not points, which isn't too bad, but you're watching this all day, and it's quite complex and all that. So I need you guys to have water breaks, and I need you guys to step off the mat. As soon as you start winking out, step off the mat. And if the mat has to go down for half an hour, I'd rather the mat goes down for half an hour than you pursuing through and getting that really tired. We catch up, we normally catch up 4 hours in our tournaments. Like you see, like I'll put their drawers up on Friday afternoon and Saturday, and it's going to be like a 10 p.m. finish, and I get like 10,000 hate mails and SMSs, and you know, oh, like, I'm not going to be the 10th, screw your tournaments, never do yours again.
I've never said that. On the spot, I said, what the hell are we doing? Not so nice words.
Yeah, and then I'm like, dude, like, and you know, then on the day, oh, we're done at 4:30. You know what I mean? So everyone's like, oh, I'm sorry. No one says sorry. So the way that it's set up is done on 9 mats, it's submission only. It's done as the worst case scenario. So it's done at every single tournament, every single bout going the full 5 minutes plus 1 minute changeover. So it's like every single fight would have to go the whole distance, which never happens. You know, add in the fact that there's a factor of like, I think it's 20% or 22% of guys that fail to complete their divisions because there's too many fights. How unheard of is that? I've had too many fights, I don't want to continue. You know, so that drops it down by, you know, well, I mean, like if you've got 10 in your division, you're looking at 9 or 10 fights. Most people can't do that, you know, so man, so they fall out. So we draw it back. So even though originally it would say that we're finishing at like 10 p.m, whatever, like, it's never a 10 p.m. picture. Like the latest we've ever finished is 5:30 or 6 p.m. And, you know, and that was a 650 competitor tournament. I think that's when you messaged me and hated on me.
I didn't hate on it. I said, what the hell am I doing with that competition? I gave up my white on blue belt something quite earlier.
Did I look after you? There you go. Yeah, exactly. And it will always be. And for me, like everyone that comes and goes to me, so I normally message, I get back to everyone about it. So I try and get back to everyone. Trust me, sometimes it's there's a lot of messages that come through and all that as well. So weigh-in is in your no-gi attire, whether you're wearing your gi or not. And that way it doesn't make a difference. What your gi weighs is totally irrelevant. If your gi weighs 6 kilo, your gi weighs 6 kilo. If your gi weighs 2 kilo, your gi weighs 2 kilo. But you as a competitor will be in your weight division. Zero tolerance, zero. If you're 2 kilos over, DQ. I will not put you in. I've been doing this long enough now that everyone knows we weigh in no-gi. There's test scales there. We start weighing in quite early in the morning. You can go weigh in. HBF Arena, there's enough weight losing areas for you guys to go and drop some weight. You can go for a run, swim, sauna, hit the gym, open mat, there's heaps of stuff. So even if it's your first time and they're like, I want you guys to go, like, this is a weight, this white's called a weight division, be in your weight division. I think that's kind of about everything that I needed to cover as far as it goes. Our rule set for the kids is different to the AF and AF BJJ as well, so jump onto our website and just go through the rules. Like we do allow the putting on head and omoplata at an earlier age. We do allow wrist locks at white belt level, and we do allow ankle locks at white belt level as well. So there's a couple of modifications that's different to AF and AF BJJ, which I think is quite good because it makes it for more of a faster tournament. Yes, baby. White belts cannot jump close guard. White belts cannot jump close guard. Gi and no gi, no. That rule change once all this everything starts kind of moving forward with the progression of it. And I think that the white belts that were competing 5 years ago versus white belts that are competing nowadays are vastly different in their skill levels as well. Like they have a lot more seasoned and experienced people to push them and all that as well. Are there any questions, guys, so far? Yep, so reaping, the easiest way I got told is how to explain reaping is this, right? So anytime that I can put my foot across this way, as long as my toes are facing outside of the belly button. Anytime my toes face inside of the belly button and it's over the equator, it's deemed to be a reaping. Yeah, so I can use this position here to control you, as long as my foot's...
I thought it was once you go past the
No, but once my toes, so I can still use this from here, but once my toes and my legs cross this, now you can feel the dip like that, there's no pressure at all, even if there's zero pressure, but once that comes over here, it starts to rotate. So this is deemed to be your safe position. Whether it's done from standing or up, it's the toes versus the equator. The toes versus the equator. So I can bring this all the way over here and still be safe. But once I go, you can see already that it becomes a reap.
And that's just white belts can't do it.
Yeah, purple belts can reap. Yeah, and that they can do everything apart from can openers. We're not allowed to can openers. No can openers. Combat commission. Yep. And well, actually, my ruling is I don't want people doing can openers. Right, no. Yep. 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 Twisters, all that. Yep. All that. 100%. Okay. Uniform. There's no rules as far as you have to wear your rag. You can wear whatever you want to wear out there, guys. Gis have to be clean. You can't wear like an A0 gi to an A3. It has to be some, but we don't do the measuring of the gis or that. I've got no qualms about the colour of the gis. No offensive language. Must be clean, can't stink. Right, and can't have rips in and things. Sorry? Yeah, the patches are half off, I'll rip the patches off. You can't, like, fingers and toes get caught in them, so if the patch is coming off, do you want to rip it off or do you want me to rip it off? But it's coming off. Sorry? Yeah, no rashes under the gis for males. Females must wear something underneath, whether it's a crop top or a rash guard, whatever like that. The little kids can wear a rash guard up to, I think it's 8 years old underneath it. From 8 years old and above, they basically can't wear the rash guard underneath it.
What's the rash guard?
It does two things. Number one is that when you go to put your hands inside the collar, the rash guard gets in the way. Yeah, so the amount of times I've been trying to choke people and that got that rash guard thing underneath it. And the second thing about it was that a lot of the time that the guys have been competing in the no-gi, they just throw their gi straight out of the top and it sticks. It's sweaty and all that as well. So the reason why we stopped it was because like, we generally run our no gear divisions first, and I don't want that sweaty, stinky no gear. And the other one about it was that a lot of the guys used to put Vaseline and things like that inside there, which I have no idea why it's stupid, but anyway. Yeah. Yes, baby. Sorry? Yeah, a rash guard. Yeah, you have to wear a rash guard. But one of the guys the last tournament tried to wear no shirt, and like, you know, and with all the COVID and everything like that around and germs, I'm like, yeah, like you gotta wear a rash guard. Some of the guys are trying to jump on the t-shirts. Once again, they're too loose and too baggy, and things are going to get caught in there. So it needs to be a rash guard. Ear pads we can wear as long as they're the soft ones. They can't be the hard plastic ones. Cannot have pockets or zippers on your shorts. Once again, fingers, toes, and they get caught. We had a guy that the zipper got caught in his ear and ripped the ear. He went around from north south with a zipper and just basically ripped like that. So I just like, you know. Yeah, so it's just you can't have pockets. Yeah. So the weighing station are normally pretty packed up. So the weighing station will go, and of course they're not seeing guys in the gi. So the referee's job is if you see the guys coming out and they've got a rash guard underneath them, just say, hey guys, do you mind taking your rash guard off? If they ask why, say, because that's the rules. You don't have to say that, that's the rules.
And always double check your kids, because I know even my kids have managed to run back home without that guard, and I'm not there yet, because they took it out to change the uniform from E to Nogi and then went to the next slide. They're finding I'm like, I don't have that guard. But yeah, so the rest need to double check that they have that guard.
Any other questions, guys?
Yeah, I've got a question about, say, young birds for DQ or not. If they've got control of the arm and they trip in that direction, is that a DQ?
Excuse me?
Like, so say we're standing and I have control of one of your arms and I trip you in that direction, so you're going to, is that, I know in some competitions that's actually a DQ? So.
No, we can do that.
Okay,
Yeah, we can do that, yes. I know the reason being is a lot of guys can't post their heads hitting the ground and all that kind of stuff as well. We allow that. It's basically the same as the drops in Nugget, taking the guys over the top and they can't post, so we are okay with that. The head on the outside of the single leg that the guys were getting spiked. You guys heard about that? So basically what happened in America, these wrestlers were like, now we're here, the single leg, but the single leg, the head was on the outside. So what the guys were doing, they were grabbing the belt and sitting back, but they had the elbow here. So the guys, the head's got no idea. So as they sit down, they're basically going like smack and driving this guy's head straight into the ground. So the AF and IFBJJ ruled that you cannot do a single leg with your head on the outside. The downfall that happened was the guys were hitting the double leg, the guys were stepping back out of the double leg and leaving the head on the outside and then running the pipe and getting disqualified because they were actually doing a double leg takedown but their opponent countered it. So in all my years of refereeing and competing, and probably 25 years of that, I've only ever seen that once, the guy get knocked out from the single leg. On that, I've seen more guys dislocating their shoulders by break falling and posting than that. So in my tournaments, you are allowed to do the single leg and double leg with the head on the outside. I think it's a small risk for a legitimate takedown. I mean, in wrestling, they do that all day, every day, man. You know what I mean? I'm like very small injuries on that. Other questions, guys? Yes. Purple belt and above, smothering. Yes, you can. Yep. How good is that stuff, man? Constantly evolving. Constantly evolving.
It's getting really popular, even in the high-end comps now.
Yeah.
You see
Back
like
control.
All those sort of guys, back control,
Yeah.
slap in the face.
Yep.
So
I'm all for it, man. I do it.
purple belt above.
Yeah, I do it. I think it's great fun. Oh, sure. I love running.
Give a bit of Matt Rhymes.
Oh, yeah, but your hands can't go on the face. Right. So you cannot, any time that your fingers go near the eyes, it's got to be like, you cannot, but you can't open. So in all BJJ, you can't have your hands on the face. So even when you're posting, like, you know, if you're doing stand up and you're head pushing, okay, you're not allowed to jump on. You're not allowed to head push here. You're allowed to head push here. You can't head push the face, fingers into eyes, etc., etc. That's actually illegal. So you can't have your hands onto people's faces. Yeah. So what they're talking about is like I go arm drag and I try and do the rear naked choke and it's too good, so I just start to smother. Purple belt and above. Yeah. Legit. It's good fun. Really good fun.
So where's the common sound?
There I go. And the other thing as well is you're going to get a lot of the time that that people are going to come up to you with questions that you don't know the answers to, and you know, like, oh, what time's my fight on, or you know, you know, when's the blue belt division on, or whatever. As a referee, that's not your job. So, you know, we've got these new t-shirts out, so we just say look for the guys with the SCT t-shirts and they'll help you. But the referees, you've got a hard enough job as it is out there doing what you do, so we don't want to have add burden onto it as well. So it's just kind of ask them to find the table people. The table people normally find Emma or myself, and we'll go through and we'll work that out for you guys. But otherwise, yeah, like the uniform, try and keep everything really professional. So black socks with no logos or anything like that on it, black slacks or black jeans if you possibly can. We have the referee t-shirt. If it's cold, you can wear something else like long sleeve underneath it. You can't wear hoods over the top, nothing like that. Because we're not keeping track of the time for the overtime and stalling, there's no need to wear a watch or anything like that. You can if you want to. But otherwise, it's a really crazy gig. It's a really cruisy gig. Your first couple out there, you're quite tense about it. It's quite, once you get into the groove, it's really easy. Like, it's a really fun gig. I love refereeing because I get to see all the latest techniques and what people are doing good and all that. And like, you know, a lot of time they're kind of like, oh, that's pretty cool. I'm going to try that at training. So I get this really good, like, free YouTube channel of some of the best guys, especially like, you know, we get Will Dares and those guys out there. I'm like, I'm going to referee this fight. I'm going to have a look at what they're doing. But besides that, you know, it's an easy gig. Any other questions before we finish up, guys?
If you have a pin, somebody pins somebody down and like there's no inactivity but there's no kind of submission.
Yep.
But the person's like got him or her.
At the end of the day, you don't get the submission, you don't get the medal. It's up to the person. We don't do stalling. If you want to stall the fight out for 3 minutes or 4 minutes, that's what it is. But let me ask you this way, right? Is whose responsibility, and this is, because I get asked this quite a fair bit, like they kind of said, the stalling, like the person on top of side control just gets side control and just stalls the guy down. Why should he get penalised for stalling because the other person can't get out of his control? Like, I don't understand, like if I'm gonna hold you down to side control for 4.5 minutes and the last 30 seconds I'm jumping to knee right to get my 2 points to get my victory, I will do that. But the referee's kind of going, it's boring, you're not moving. I'm like, but he can't get out of my thing. If that was a submission, he can't get out, he taps and I win. So I'm answering that is, if the person doesn't have the skill set to get out of the hold, it's like being submitted. It's just one of those things, you have to work out a way to get out. The person on top shouldn't get penalised for being able to hold someone in that position. But they're jeopardising taking the medal because they're not getting a submission. Remember, it's submission only, it's not points. So, good case, if there's a group of 4 people, you've got 3 submissions, and you want to win, just hold the person down for the whole fight. Take the gold medal. There's no tactics for that than stalling out. Man, seriously, I've won fights by getting an advantage in the first minute or so and then camped out for the next 4 or 5 minutes, like, oh, moving referee, like, you know, get that medal, get that $70 gold medal. You know?
So first 5 minutes, somebody pins some of the arm holes, and then for the rest of the fight, there's no stopping from inactivity.
Draw. So imagine, right, is like, it's best of 3 fights. So they get 1 submission, 1 person, 1 submission, the other person, both get exactly on 2 minutes. And the third fight goes to a stalemate. Man, tough call. Guess what happens? 2 gold medals. If we can't dispute it, we'll give the 2 gold medals out. But if you're like, you know, like I said, if you've beaten everyone and the last one is your teammate who has got the second amount, and you want him to get the second gold medal, hey buddy, how you doing? Yeah, that was a really good fight. We're just gonna wait 5 minutes here and have a bit of a chat. So I get first, you get second. You're okay with that? Yeah. Okay. It's the game. That's how you play the rules, man. If that's how people want to play the rules. That's it. Like, it's no different. The guys that step on the mat, toss a coin, you win, I lose, take the gold medal. No different to that. It's just part of it. Yes.
If somebody gets injured in a fight,
Yep.
and they go on to the next fight, if the fight stops because they're not injured.
Okay. So injuries. The way it works is either pulling out injury. So if a person's competing and they get injured and they've got to pull out, it's a submission to the other person because they can no longer compete. So it's a submission. If they go off to the medic or whatever like that, and then like they skip 2 fights and come back on, they still have to fight the other 2 people. So they can't skip those 2 fights. They've still got to come on. If you withdraw, if you get like 2 submissions in a row and you withdraw from the tournament. You don't get a medal. So if you're out, you're out. And that means that person will get a bye for all the person, everyone that went through. Yep. So if I'm rolling you and I throw you, you go, oh, my shoulder, I get the win. So I get the submission victory because you can no longer compete. Whether it's because you're on.
Could she go, okay, now my shoulder's okay now, and come back on and fight the next opponent?
Yeah, you can, because it's only a submission. But if you've skipped a fight, you've still got to go back and fight that other person as well. So you've still got to complete your whole bracket. Yeah. And if you can't complete it, you're out, but you're not in the running for a medal. Yeah. So you can't go win 4 gold medals in a row and think, I'm not fighting that guy. You pull out and you're out. Yeah.
So it's another one, crying. So sometimes kids cry in fights.
Just kids or adults?
Adults as well.
Oh, no.
They get hurt or something. How does that feel? Does the fight just end? You give them a chance to continue?
So there's this thing, it's called a verbal submission. Yeah. A verbal submission can be done as either a scream, whatever. But once the competitor has the will to not continue to fight, I will stop the fight. I'm not going to torture a kid that's in there crying, man. I'll stop the fight. They start crying, stop, you okay, cuddle them, you okay, yeah, no drums. Raise the guy on the other hand because it's still a victory to the other guy. And walk them off. Yeah. So it's really important that they understand that, like, part of competing is being put into uncomfortable, awkward situations and positions, and how they do with that kids is very different to how we do with that adults. Adults, I'm out here, quit my job, I'm gone, but it's the kids don't have that tolerance and they don't have that experience yet. So for me, if a kid's crying and all that, I will stop the fight. Right, and I will raise the hand of the other kid and I will talk to him. And I'll try and get him to come back again. The next fight's going to be easy, the next fight's going to be easier. Always try and get him to come back. That the more that they do it, the more that they're exposed to this, the better they're going to become, and the more acclimatized to it they're going to become. I hate that kid cries and walks off, and they're not going to compete much anymore. Once they've had that poison bad experience, they don't like it. So we want to get them in as much as we possibly can. But a cry is a verbal submission. Yeah. Yeah, so what happens is, this is kind of a grey area. If someone vomits on the mat, they've got, I think it's 3 minutes, I'll double check, to clean themselves up, change their gear and get back on the mat to continue. Right, 2 times, out. Yep, same with the blood rule. So the blood rule is kind of a unique one. So what happens is, if you get cut and you're bleeding, okay, stop the fight. The referee's got 3 minutes, whatever like that, to clean it up, continue, come back into position, fight again, it starts opening again, go to the mat again. 3rd time, it's a victory to the other person. It's not his fault that you're bleeding and all that, but it's a victory. So that's a really unusual rule that happened a few times. That a guy got elbowed in the eye and had split underneath the eye. And they stopped the fight, they repatched it, came back in, it came off after about 2 minutes, bled, Patrick come back in after about 2 minutes, bled again, and the victory was awarded to the other person. Bodily fluid, so if someone happens to lose control, stop the fight immediately and get them off the mat as fast as they can. I had a circumstance where Gatland Shad National, a guy shot himself, but didn't actually realise, like just and brown patch come out kind of thing. So stop. Okay, raise hand on the guy, and the guy's I didn't tap. Said, go to the toilet straight away, mate. So. No, he ran to the toilet. Oh, fuck, how embarrassed. Excuse me, how embarrassed, like you didn't know. So the one comes up and goes, thank you so much, and all that. I'm like, yeah, like, so you've got to look after him as well. And it's common, like, you know, you're nervous, some people have been cutting weight, you know what I mean? You've got some big heavy guy laying on top. I don't know. You know, like, so always check for that. Like, we're not here to make fun of people, you know. If you see that, right, I always like stop, raise the hand straight away to the other person, and if the coach is arguing or whatever like that, go and talk to them later, but get them off the mat as soon as you can. Let them go and clean themselves up. You know, but more common in kids than adults. But you know, kids get nervous, they still haven't got that control yet, you know what I mean? And, you know, that time you know, you go to the toilet, don't want to go down the mat, I'm going to go to the toilet. No, that's the first thing kids want to do. So always clean them up. Any other questions, guys?
Who's cleaning the mats? Sorry, who's cleaning the mats?
When they get spewed on?
Whatever happens on the mats, whose job is it to clean the mat?
The officials.
For anything?
The officials.
Yeah. PPE provided?
All of our mats here, everything's got chemicals, mops on it, and it's touch-free. So it's all touch-free. You're not doing that yet. They're all touch-free. The mats get cleaned before and after every tournament as well. Most of the times the people that have done the bad stuff will offer to clean the mats and we'll gladly take them up on that as well. Yep, so if where it might be, they go, oh, it's my key, we'll clean them up. Yep, thank you. Get them cleaned. Anything else, guys?
Just want to touch again on that verbal submission, like, you know, like someone goes,
That's not a verbal submission, that's a grunt.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, or like a
Yeah, so you know, like, you know, that.
No, I've done it before, and they've tried to give me a verbal submission, but I'm not in pain. I was just like, just at that point, I was just giving a tweet.
So let me explain. Anytime that your bench person sort of, that's not a verbal submission. Anytime it's a yell of pain, like frustration, oh man, 100% get that. Frustration, not a verbal submission. It's like, yeah, like that, or like that, I'll stop the fight. And if you kind of go, oh man, you know, like it just hurt, I'm like, yeah, but that you still give me a verbal submission. And it runs or that, or frustration, I'm happy to let that run.
And because they've made that noise, their opponent may have released what they were holding on to because of
it
that
has a
noise.
knock-on
So,
effect.
yeah.
But we always try and make sure it's fair for everyone. But you know, like there's times that people can't tap and they just say, yeah, you know what I mean? The best thing that I've found from most of the SGT tournaments is by the time you're in that verbal tap, most of the guys are ready to let go. Anyway, no one's got that intention to kind of rip that ankle off. I think we've had like a dislocated shoulder. What was it? There was a Kimura on the buzzer 2 tournaments ago. And a little bit of coach versus student and a little bit of rivalry. And when I watched the video, my interpretation, and it's just my interpretation, was like the countdown was on. This guy's trying to get the Kimura. Like, this guy's holding, no. The buzzer went, and the guy's like, yeah, the buzzer. And the guy's, of course, he's still, so it's on the buzzer. You know, and you know, number 1 rule, protect yourself at all times. It's that, you know, and the referee was kind of like, stop. But it was such a really weird. So that was when I got called that. It was, well, I actually won't say it was, but I got sent the 2 videos, one from the competitor and one from the other competitor, and I went through and I watched it 30 times or 40 times, and it's such a tough call, man. Like, you know, at the end of the day, like it's a really tough call as a promoter to make that your banned because of that. And it didn't. The intention to do Kimura was there, but with the intention to do Kimura was there the whole time because you wanted to do the Kimura, and it wasn't that it was done like 5 seconds after it was done on, and the guy happened to let go or lost his grip, or as that like so beep, and do you know what I mean? Of course, he was already in that process of doing it. It's just that really. I spoke to both of the couple, and I'm like, man, tough. And I just said it's that respect thing that you know the time is going off, and he wants that submission so bad before the time. The other guy's holding on for dear life, and it's just that unfortunate set of circumstances. So there was no reprimand and all that. The post that went up, the email that went out was kind of like respect everyone and have a good time, because like that's what the environment is people coming in to learn how to referee and learn the rules and all that. And I want that culture to be part of what we do, because it's so important about the SGT tournament. So like we don't do team medals, we don't do points accumulation, we don't get tallied to go to the Worlds. This is just a local WA tournament run by a couple of local WA guys. That's a bit of fun. You know what I mean? Like we run one state title a year, which is in November. We don't do 2 state titles, we do the one, it's gi and no gi, and it's a big tournament. And even that is still really fun. It's not like a normal state where it's quite like that. So we want to keep the atmosphere as it is. And we don't want to make it a huge big event. Anything else, guys? Sure, man, go for it.
With a straight ankle lock, right?
Yeah.
I've got the straight ankle lock, I've got this foot tucked in here.
Yep.
One little blue belt goes to heel.
Rotation.
Yeah.
Warning.
Warning?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. Also with the
When does that become a
rear
DQ?
neck.
At what
Second
point?
time.
It's second time, yeah.
I know, I just started seeing it a lot lately, like that position is strapping the heel and
Yeah, so you can't do that. Yeah, that's rotational. I understand what you're saying. So like we're just talking through it so you guys understand. So like he's got me in this camper lock, and I'm like yeah, and I'm just here. So I'm either going to see one of 2 things. Right? I'm either going to hip escape, and I'm going to go, oh, there's this ankle here. I'm going to start trying to pull this ankle through this groove, or I'm going to see this ankle. I'm going to no, you okay? That's crack.
yeah, no, it's bad.
So you can pull the leg, you can't rotate the leg. So the referees, you got to be stop. Okay, continue. And you've always got to jump on that leg as hard and fast as you can. So yeah, you cannot rotate.
Okay, because another one's I've done this a couple of times as well, but when you're in the rear, when you got the back, you got your hooks in,
Yep.
right like that, and they leave their leg through here.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's different. Yeah. So with the back control, okay, so there's a couple of variables in this, right? So on the back control from here is just so once you cross your feet over, that's legit, right? Because it's not rotation, it's just a straight out. Like I'm applying pressure across your ankle. So as you lace, so as like I'm kind of doing that kind of thing you're talking about, and rotating.
No, this one where you go that way. Put the finger thing over.
That one?
Yeah, and then
Yeah, but that's still straight.
not that one there. Like,
On that one?
you rotate your knee out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you should just be pulling your heel out.
Yeah.
You should just pull your heel out.
I know some guys get their feet stuck, especially in the gi.
Tough.
Tough one.
Tough. It is rotational, but it's not. Yeah, it shouldn't quite. Yeah, I understand what you're saying. Tough.
If you
Tough
let
one.
go of the back, your foot will move that way.
No, it still would because it's locked into position against my hamstring.
You weave the leg over and pulling back.
Yeah. I would probably caution them. Yeah. It is rotational. How's your hand go, Michael? So I tried to set up all the new cameras and we had tech issues. This is supposed to make life easy. Once the heel is rotated on the inside away from the guard position, it's deemed to be a rotation. So I'll probably give them a warning on that one. Okay. Anything else, guys? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.